This is my review for Devil Worshippers 1985. So, I guess technically this is called The Devil Worshippers, and Worshippers is apparently spelled incorrectly because even though it says it in the title screen, the title card, every time I type this out, Worshipper is supposed to have one P and not two. So in my word processor, when I type all of my reviews up, obviously I use a word processor on my computer, and the what is it? I don't know. Let's just say autocorrect. The spell check. Sorry, the spell check shows that worshiper has an extra P. So first things first, worshippers is spelled wrong, and this was on TV. So this is a broadcast that was done by 2020 back in 1985. And it, of course, is another piece of satanic panic propaganda. It brings the same claims as all the other satanic panic pieces of media, where it claims that teens were murdering in the name of Satan. And, of course, it rips off the film Satanist. And it brings up Rosemary's Baby as like another potential piece of proof about Satanism, I guess. Watching this one, it's clear that these broadcasts all copied from each other, using the same film footage from these films, and they all just cannibalized off of each other. I watched this after the 1988 one with Geraldo Rivera, and I know, thinking back now, it's like, oh, the Rivera special stole footage from this one, the 1985 special. So they show photos, once again, of actually mutilated bodies and animals, a questionable choice. Once again, it's clear that these broadcasts have only been done for ratings, instead of actually trying to inform the public. The broadcast categorizes satanic groups as 1, self-styled Satanists, 2, religious Satanists, and 3, satanic cults. Of course, the other culprits of Satanism are mentioned, which, such as books by Anton LaVey, and of course metal music. We can't forget metal. One of the famous fakes in this whole satanic panic thing was interviewed too, a guy named Mike Warnke, who has since been exposed as having never been a Satanist and making up every story that he's ever had. So once again, decades later, the proof comes out that, the evidence comes out that these people had no proof. Really. So the broadcast also brings up children being abused by Satanists, and this one talks about children being put in coffins and just, I guess, hanging out in there. Then the other claims of bodies being sent to crematoriums and then cannibalized, and of course the stuff about sexual abuse. Allegedly, at one point it was mentioned that the hearts to other children would be cut out, and then I guess the remaining children would have to eat parts of it. There was no goal presented here. I guess they were just apparently eating this stuff for fun. But you know what? Cannibalism or not, people eat animal hearts, so not saying it's right, I'm just saying. Of course, the broadcast tried to claim that the cremation thing was real, but admits that no bodies were found. The cremation idea was like a shitty trump card that's supposed to explain all of this, but if you know anything about how cremation really works, this still doesn't add up. Despite popular belief, cremation does not burn every single thing. There are parts and pieces still left behind. Of course, the idea is that it was supposed to be like babies and children being cremated, but even still, bones can still be left behind. I think bone tends to not burn, if I remember correctly. But if you want to know more or understand more about the process of cremation, I recommend the channel Ask a Mortician, Caitlin Dowdy. So, to understand that process. But anyway, so the broadcast says multiple times that there is no proof of these claims. It also claims that satanic worship was illegal, which is also not true. Worshipping Satan has never been illegal in the United States. Not as far as I know. So an interesting clip in the broadcast shows where the band Electric Wizard had got the beginning of one of their songs from Vinum Sabbathi, which was a very interesting and cool find, which was totally unintentional when I watched this. So I'll just play the clip right now.
When you get into one of these groups, there's only a couple ways you can get out. One is death, the other is mental institutions, or the third, you can't get out.
Overall, of course, this broadcast sucked. And it was just another piece of Christian propaganda. It's hard to find the full broadcast online, but even watching parts of it shows how insane the satanic panic was. I'm still shocked that this type of material was allowed on TV, especially, of course, the footage about the dead bodies and mutilated animals. I mean, how is that allowed? How could they get away with that? But I suppose when you get into one of these groups, there's only a couple ways you can get out. One is death, and the other is mental institutions. So, I don't give this any stars. This broadcast just gets an F.